We don't want your logo to go into the landfill. We don't want it to be put on something that people are just going to discard. What's the point of putting your logo on something if people are not going to see it? You don't get the impressions all the time, and they're just going to toss it away.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Orthopreneurs podcast. Today, we're lucky enough to have a friend of mine, somebody I've known for close to a decade, if not longer. A great human being, and many of you know him. But today is going to be a great day for you to learn a lot about the law because he's a lawyer. I'm totally messing with you. It's Randy Pulitzer from Swag Headquarters. Hey, Randy.
Nice to see you, Glenn.
He's a little subdued, if you can tell. He's very quiet.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, but you are a lawyer by training, right? You did go to law school. Yeah,
I did, and I'm an inactive member of the Texas bar.
There you go. But he will sell you glasses if you choose to drink at the bar. How do you like that segue right there, Randy? And so the reason I have Randy Pulitzer on this show today is because the goal of the Orthopreneurs podcast is to help you educate you on anything that can help make your life more profitable or lower stress. And I first started working with Randy probably 7 years ago would be my guess, somewhere in that range.
2018.
Yeah, 2017, 2018, right when the first summit was really coming together.
That's correct.
And Randy is the king of swag. And we'll get into more of what that means. But if you're looking to learn about what works, what doesn't work, statistics, literal statistics on how effective certain things are with marketing based on impressions, you're going to learn that today. We're going to talk a little bit about what is trending in swag, what is not trending in swag, what are some good ideas to give away here or there for different purposes, and most importantly, we're going to introduce you to a new word that's going to change the way you look at all the swag you get moving forward. I know it changed mine. So, Randy, before we jump in and really get into the swag side of things, I know I gave a little bit about your history, but do you mind taking just a few seconds and telling everybody a little bit about Randy Pulitzer and how you ended up where you are today? Like, how did you end up doing what you're doing?
Well, I was practicing law, but in a different way. I had a mediation service. Our mediation service settled lawsuits out of court, only civil, not the marital type. We didn't get into the really messy things. We basically settled it was a matter of money. And so my mediation service over the course of time probably settled 80% of a couple thousand cases. And at that point, I eventually sold the mediation service, and happened to be my father had started a business, and he said, looking for something to do? And I said, sure. And so he said, well, if you come with me and you sell X amount, then you'll become a partner sooner than he thought. And we had a long relationship, and he was my mentor and probably one of my best friends. So,
yeah. Well, I'm going to say this out loud because I was fortunate enough to know your dad, and that man, may he rest in peace, was just such a gentle, amazing soul. And I just have to put this out there. I once went to Randy's house, and his dad was there with his mom, and that southern drawl of his, he had that southern charm, just put everybody at ease so quickly. And they say the measure of a parent is the quality of their child. And I'll just tell you right now, Randy, your father did just fine. So my goal here is to make Randy cry on the show. I'm going to do everything I can. Let the tears out, Randy.
yeah,
It's okay, baby. Let him out.
I appreciate it. No, he was very fond of you. So, yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And here's your fun fact, folks. At the first Orthopreneurs Summit, his mom and his dad actually worked his booth.
That's right.
I remember that. I was like, what are you doing putting these two old people to work, Randy? He says they're enjoying it.
I think you arrived on talking to people, anybody. He would talk to people in elevators, any kind of stranger. Nobody was a stranger to him. So, yeah.
I agree with that. And I was fortunate enough to really spend some good time with him at the summit. It was amazing. And so now Randy finds himself in the swag world. And just to help people understand the legitimacy of some of the comments you're going to make today, talk a little bit about how you find out about swag and what works. Because I know the answer, but I don't think they know the answer about if I come to you and go, hey, Randy, what's trending? How does Randy know what's trending?
Randy goes to a big conference in Las Vegas every year, and it's the trade show of trade shows. It's called the Promotional Products Association International. It happens in Las Vegas. And over the course of a couple of days, you have to walk probably 5 or 6 miles each day, covering 2,000, about 2,000 booths. And then there's a smaller show in Fort Worth that happens a couple months later. And if you're a glutton for punishment, you go see a couple of hundred other booths.
It's
And
crazy.
then Kaiser and Blair, the large distributorship that's been around for 130 years that I'm affiliated with, has what's called an Amplify seminar every couple of weeks, and they show two different companies that partner with Kaiser and Blair and show all their items on a webinar. And I learned a lot from companies that sometimes I've never done business with before. Because even though in the course of a year, I may only use 200 or 300 companies, there are probably a good 2,500 to 3,000 companies that actually are vendors of swag.
It's incredible. And the other aspect is you handle a lot of business. And so when people are repeatedly ordering things over and over again, it's working, right? When people order
Right.
something
Correct.
one time, and you see the same item being ordered one time over and over and over again, and nobody ever orders it a second time, it's a pretty good sign that it's not working. And so
That's right.
let's introduce them to that magic word, Randy. What do you say? We know about abracadabra. What is the one word that we want to keep in mind whenever we order swag that we do not buy?
Brand fill.
Brand fill. Pray tell, Randy, tell everybody why that term is what it is.
We don't want your logo to go into the landfill.
Yep.
We don't
So
want it to
brand,
be put on something that people are just going to discard. And, it's bad for the environment too. But what's the point of putting your logo on something if people are not going to see it? You don't get the impressions all the time, and they're just going to toss it away in the garbage or in recycling.
yeah, and unfortunately, all too often people buy things because they look inexpensive, or they say, "Oh, this is $1.50 a piece. I'm going to buy 1,000 of them, and give them out to every person who starts braces." And at the end of the day, the person I can't tell you, Randy, having spent time with you, how many of my peers I see what they give out, and I sit there and go, "Don't give out anything. Like, don't even. You're better off giving nothing than
That's correct.
something that becomes a nuisance for
That's
people."
correct.
Right? Because how often have you gone to a meeting or wherever you go and you want to talk about a product and they discuss the product with you and then they give you a bunch of papers or a bunch of stuff that you don't want. Now that's papers. But the same thing applies with swag. If you give me one of those knapsacks that is it's a string knapsack with the crappy little thin strings that hurt my shoulder if I put it on,
Right.
I'm going to tell you to hold on to it. I'm going to throw it in the garbage. But if you
Right.
give me a knapsack like John Graham used to give years ago, and that I got from you, which has real thick rope ties to it, you remember those? It was
Yep.
ages ago. People love those.
That's right.
They cost more money, but people absolutely love them. So remember, people, avoid brand fill. That's the name of the game. And so, what are some common examples of things that you see that you would call brand fill that you would say to somebody, if you're thinking about buying this, please give it a second thought and maybe buy something different?
I really never thought about what's brand fill, but a lot of times I've thought of inexpensive pens, really cheap pens that are plastic that run out of ink. It's not only bad, even though it can go in the landfill. If it runs out of ink a certain amount of time, that's brand fill. Sure, you can get a pen for 20, 25 cents, but that's what's going to happen to it. So an inexpensive pen that doesn't have much coverage on it, that would be one thing. But there are other things that are paper items that just or some place something that you won't have your brand name on large enough to read or to figure out where the website is or your phone number. That would be another thing.
Right. Yeah. And
Inexpensive cups, cheap candy that maybe have it might have something on the box, but you'll have a piece of candy and then throw it away, and then that'll be it. So
exactly.
those are a couple of items.
And you explained to me that when you buy swag, the cost per impression, or the number of times a logo is actually viewed during the lifespan of that item is of paramount importance, right? Because we're going to work on the assumption, I think, that whatever you give to somebody in and of itself is not going to get them to come to you, but it may bring up a conversation, or it may bring up, a thought or a website or something, so that the more times it's viewed, right, the better it is for you. And that's where you said, get a good quality metal pen as
Correct.
opposed to it, right? So, question for you: what's the entry level, least expensive, good quality metal pen I can buy? I don't care about shape, size, give or take. What's a price per unit if I bought 1,000 of them?
It's probably in the $1 to $2 range, a
Got it.
decent pen that'll write well. And and if it's a really good pen and the ink's a good gel ink and it lasts a long time, it won't be that. Even though you can get Bic and stuff like that, it won't be the Bic pen. It'll be the Krieger pen. People will remember that this is a really good pen and I'm not getting rid of it. And they'll have your name on it all the time, and that ink will be good. And there's so many different good pen companies out there that you can easily do that. Have a good metal pen or a metal feeling pen that'll last a long time.
Nice. And again, the goal here is not to convince somebody to come to your ortho practice because you gave them a pen. It's
Right.
just brand awareness, right? It's
Right.
because you were the one who taught me that a pen on average changes hands how many times in its lifetime?
7 to 10.
So that means my pen gets stolen by you when you came to visit my house.
That's
And then
right.
your dad comes over and visits and he takes the pen, but he brings it back with him to New Orleans. And
That's
he's
right.
sitting at the house one day and your mother says, "Give me that stupid pen." And before you know it, she's playing bridge with her friends and one of them needs to write down a number and they take the pen. So 7 to 10 times a pen changes hands in its lifespan.
And something more important, it's what's the cost of impression. And a $1 pen, the cost of impression, 1/10 of a cent.
1/10 of
Of
one
the cent.
cent. Do
Right.
we rate articles based on that number? What is our cost per impression?
We usually don't think about it.
Okay, so for instance, you were telling me that, a pen averages about 2,436 impressions over its lifspan. And I assume we're talking about a metal pen there, correct?
Right. That's correct.
Drinkware, drinkware, and when we say drinkware, we're talking about a glass or a cheap plastic cup.
Usually something, and I did drinkware like a $10, let's say like a $10 mug.
Okay,
That
so a
has a
mug, a
one
mug
third
has,
1/3 of a cent.
right, one third, but a mug is about 3,162 impressions per
That's
mug,
correct.
which means
Correct.
that for every mug that I buy, I can expect about someone will see my logo about 3,162 times. Meaning, you picked it up at breakfast and you had four people at the table, four people saw Krieger Orthodontics on the mug, right? That's
Over a course of about a year.
a year. Okay. So, and of course, it pays to have a mug that someone uses at work as opposed to a mug they use at home. So make it
That's
as
correct.
obnoxious as possible so their spouse won't allow it in the house, right?
That's
That's your advice,
that's
right,
right.
Randy?
Right. Speaking of mugs, what's becoming more popular is the 40 ounce, the huge Stanley type of mugs that everybody's trying to copy. The 40
Emulate.
ounce double wall vacuum.
So
Correct.
we're calling that a mug, not a thermos.
No, I'm talking about I'm talking about a tumbler. So
Okay.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
different.
when you
Yes,
start ordering stuff over and over again, you start realizing they use different words. It's like the old yellow
right. There
pages.
is. Yeah,
And so Stanley, right? Stanley, is that still as big as it, right, as the recording of this in May of 2024? So at least we have a timestamp on this. Are Stanley mugs as big as they were, say, 3 to 4 months ago? Because they were. It was originally it was Yetis, right?
right.
Everybody wanted Yeti. Everybody wanted Yeti. Then it went to Stanley. Why? I have no idea why Stanley. I think it was the colors that they came in, right?
Probably.
Are Stanley mugs and thermoses still the sort of the standard?
They're big, and what I've heard from people in the inside of the industry is everybody is carrying 40 ounces or more, and they're making 50 ounce uh, of these mugs also, and they're very popular. People are drinking a lot of water, obviously, and keeping hydrated. Summertime, But yeah, and then sometimes they'll just ask for a name brand or say, I don't want to pay the cost of that, but I want something that's going to be good quality. Because a lot of times you're just paying for the name. But
Right.
if you're going to get double walled, vacuum sealed, there's so many good brands out there, and some that are, way less than the name brand you're paying for. So
Well, that leads me to the next question, because you're the expert on this and you've seen the repeat orders and the ones that have never ordered again. Does buying a double walled, vacuum sealed thermos or mug that's 40 ounces that looks exactly like a Stanley, does that get the same legs or the same traction as if I had a real Stanley? And does it really matter, like your demographic? And here in Dallas, for instance, if I was in Preston Hollow or Highland Park, a very, just for those of you who don't know the area, very high rent areas in Dallas, arguably the most expensive areas in Dallas. Would I be better off buying the actual Stanley mugs, because that demographic expects a Stanley mug and doesn't want a knockoff? Or does the knockoff do just as well in all different places? I
I
know it's a tough question.
Right, but I think that people that spend that kind of money are just wasting their money. I think you can do some more cost effective and get and sometimes you'll even get more bang for your buck because of the decorating area. When you go with some of the name brands, they kind of limit the amount of space you can put advertising on. Some won't be able to, they'll confine it to a small area, and then you'll have that name brand on there, whereby the amount of decorating that's exploded for four color is unbelievable, that they can wrap the whole thing around. And obviously you can't decorate over the Stanley name that is right in your face. So a lot of times you'd be surprised how much 360 degrees of decorating with four colors, you can get some amazing, beautiful um, artwork on there. It's the sky's the limit, really.
So you're better off in most instances, in your opinion, don't go for the name brand. Go for high quality knockoff of the name brand, especially if it gives you an opportunity to have a much bigger artwork area, which in your opinion seems to be the case, right?
Yeah, especially if you want to be able to have something really special, you you're better off with some of the better name better name brands in the promotional business than you are with a name brand off the shelf. And it's going to be less expensive too. You're really paying for, it's like, I guess it's like Tiffany, you're paying for the blue box.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. So, Randy, relative to the quote unquote knockoff, and I don't like that word, but let's use it. And again, let's be crystal clear here. For everybody listening, you're on this show because you're my friend, and as a resource, you're an expert in an area. And while I know you'd love for everybody to be using Swag headquarters, and so would I,
Right.
the reality is people are going to use whoever they want to use, even though I will tell them now, nobody leaves Swag headquarters once you start working with them. You've been exclusive to the Orthopreneurs RD group for ages, and everybody in that group says how your prices are the lowest, your customer service is the highest, and nobody leaves. It's like a roach motel. Once people get in with Swag headquarters, they never get out. They're there forever. But knowing that people might right now be using another agency to get their stuff, we want to educate them. And so, in that vein, my question comes up to you and says, when I'm getting a knockoff, right? And I've looked through your catalogs, I could get a 40-ounce vacuum sealed, double walled handle, mug, as you call it, from probably 20 different manufacturers off the top of your head,
Yeah,
and different price points all over the place.
right.
How do I know that the one I'm getting is actually going to perform? Because if you buy it, put ice water in it, and an hour later the water's warm because it's not that great, right? It's becoming brand fill. Because the one thing nobody needs more of is large insulated thermoses that don't work. And so, how do I know that what I'm getting is quality?
Well, a couple of things before I just like back up a little bit. If you have somebody you're using and you like them and they give you good service and good quality and good value, and there's no reason to change, you probably shouldn't, especially if you have a relationship, because it's all about the relationship. It's about who can help you out, especially in a pinch, who's going to be able to deliver. And if you have a good relationship with that person, you should keep it with that person. That's what I believe. So I would never
Nice.
dissuade anybody from, especially if they're using their brother-in-law, you know, don't hurt the family relations. But seriously, I also have what's called a very liberal sample policy. So I say, if you see anything on my website, which is swaghq1.com, swaghq1.com, and you see something you think you're interested in, I'll send you a free sample. Test it out. Don't just take my word for it. I'll send you 2 or 3 different mugs and you can test them out, put hot, put cold in, and see if you like it. And so I have a pretty free liberal sample policy. I mean, except for a very few exceptions, but that's what I think is test out the item before you buy it. Especially if you have a little time. A lot of times people or say, I only have 2 weeks. Well, you're not going to get a sample then. But if you have a little bit of time, test out the sample and see which one you like. And you can pick the color, the size. I mean, if it's shirts or polos, I'll send you the size you want to. If it's a mug, I'll send you the color you want it. Yeah. Some of them will be random samples with other logos on them, and some will be blank. But I think that's the best way for you to figure out, what's best for you. Same thing with pens. I'll send you 5 or 6 different types of pens and write with them and see which ones you like.
It's great advice, and thank you for being so generous with that. Now, when we talk about orthodontic practices in general, because you've worked with just a few along the way, right? You've worked with a fair share of ortho practices. What are some of the things you see getting ordered over and over and over again? Like, for instance, I think we get all of our lip balm from you, right? Like, everybody says your lip balm is legendary. Some of the lip balms that you've got, and the moms love it, and the kids love it. And again, I don't know what my cost per impression is, but it's got to be really low because it ain't expensive.
Right.
And when a mom puts it on, and there's 5 moms at the table, right? Technically, that's 6 impressions, the
Right.
mom and the other 5. And so, what are some of the things that you see orthodontic practices ordering over and over and over again?
Well, lip balm is one of the most popular ones, and not only because it does get a lot of impressions, people, it's easy to carry, but also because the amount of flavors that have exploded. You can get so many different types of flavors. It makes it fun. Everything from wedding cake and pomegranate and mango tango and vanilla. There's all kinds of
Mango Tango.
there's all kind of flavors. Some have SPF 15, um, and usually, typically, the least expensive lip balm around 50 to 60 cents per unit. So you get a big bang
Nice.
for your buck. The other thing is, and you know about this too, is it's the famous Glenn sunglasses check to make sure that you wear
Sunglasses.
sunglasses. And these are going to be the ones, especially for your practice. Kids come in, the bright lights are on, and you give them a pair of sunglasses, and it's summertime, they get home, and your logo's on the temple, and people are going to see that. And the cooler the glasses are, the more people are going to see that. And there's so many different colors and shades of not only the lenses but of the frames, multicolors. That's always good because it's something useful, and then people will take it, and it shouldn't be brand fill.
Yeah, and that's something, by the way, that was interesting that we tested years ago. You know this about me already,
Right, right,
because something that I'm a little unusual about in my practice, and this comes from my being a dentist for so many years, nobody ever gets in my chair without a bib and glasses. Every patient in my office, male, female, child, adult, since day one of my dental career, you sit in a chair, you get a pair of sunglasses and a bib because 2 reasons. Now, the bib is obvious. I don't want to get anything on your clothing, no matter what. Number 2, and this is, I know it sounds silly to some, but I'm sitting behind a patient. When I lay down in the chair, a young lady or a mom, I want their entire chest area covered completely.
right.
I would never, but I don't ever want to be accused of trying to look down somebody's shirt or something going on. And it was something taught to me years ago. How do you solve it? Have your assistant put a bib on before they sit back. Glasses. Now, I haven't had swag bibs. I haven't gone that far because the cost per impression is 1, right?
Right,
You get
right.
1 impression out of a
Probably
bib.
paper too, probably.
You're right. But the glasses,
Yes.
We started with glasses and we went with some like clear frames with mirrored lenses. And then, the next month when we ran out of glasses, we said, by the way, if you want to take them home, take them home. And they did. They wanted them. Sometimes accidentally they went home with them. And we have
Right.
them in a drawer. They're individually packaged. You pull them out, pull the sticker off, put them on the patient. And then the next month it was like, oh, we'll go with red, right? With
Right.
mirrored lenses. And
And
the
then
next
for
month it was like,
October,
yeah, it was
right, and
October,
for
pink.
October, you use pink.
Right.
Fourth
You
of
go
July,
pink.
you do red, white, and blue. So you keep changing it up so
Uh-huh.
people have a collection of Krieger sunglasses.
And they actually would come in and go, I don't think I have this color yet.
That's
Right?
right.
Which was awesome. And
Yep.
the best part of all was the wooden grained. The
Yeah.
wooden grain glasses were huge, that people loved sunglasses that were plastic, but the frames looked like they were wood with
Right.
mirrored
Exactly.
lenses or black lenses.
Yeah.
I know it sounds so silly to people out there, but what does a pair of sunglasses cost?
The least expensive ones are a little bit around $1, and the higher end ones are anywhere from 4 to 5. If you
Right.
want, really, really
Which you
expensive.
don't need to go in ortho, right?
No.
If you're giving them out, but think about this, folks. $1.50, right? And every patient who comes in every day, you offer them a pair of glasses. If they already have it, they're probably going to decline to take them with them. So you
Right.
clean that pair off and use it on the next patient, right?
Right.
Like eye protection. But again, if you're giving out, 40 a day and each one gets 3,000 impressions, let's just use a round number, right? That's 120,000 impressions you're giving out every single day. And Randy's taught me this. And again, you don't have to break the bank. Like
No, you don't.
other examples of things we've done together, which have been great. I've done mom's wine nights at my office.
Right.
You've gotten me 4 and 8 ounce and bigger wine glasses, not with stemless wine glasses, which I know are huge, right?
Depending on how much, what kind of drinkers you're having to the party.
Yeah. And believe it or not, I've gone to people's homes for dinner or parties, and they've pulled out they didn't even know they were doing. They pulled out the Krieger wine glass to serve, or bourbon. I did a dad's event with bourbon, and we did bourbon glasses, and they were if I remember correctly, they were a couple of bucks a glass. They're really inexpensive, right?
Yeah, they are. They're not too expensive, especially the ones that are made out of like a molded type of plastic, right?
Yeah,
So
the stuff that's unbreakable plastic. And out here in Texas, barbecue joints are all the rage, right? Everybody loves going to good barbecue. And so the Dickies, right? Everybody knows about Dickies cups. Dickies is a barbecue
right,
joint. You go to people's homes, you'll see their cups in their cupboards. They're these, what are they, 20 ounce, 30 ounce?
they're 20, 30, 40, 50 ounce, yet not 50 ounce, but yeah, 20, 30, and
That's one
40s.
hell of a drink, 50 ounce. That's a
Right.
4.5 pound drink right there. Um,
Well, what's
yeah,
become popular is the ones that change colors.
right.
So there's a couple of companies that are really good that you can change colors to, and they're really cool once you put liquid in them. So it's that's a fun thing to do too. So if you have two
Yeah,
different
patients have
colors,
loved those.
yeah, they
When
do.
you do an event, like we do an end of year bash, we do an end of year summer schools out bash, water party, what have you, stuff like that, or a back to school bash, and we give out those glasses, those cups, right, with our logo on them, and they're clear cups. Everybody, in case you haven't seen them, and when you fill them with cold liquid, they change color to purple or red or green or whatever color you want. It's kind of weird sometimes. Pick the right color, because when it turns
Right.
green, it makes the drink look really weird, because you look in the drink is purple or pink or whatever it is, but outside it looks like the one that turns yellow looked like urine. It was that was a mistake on our behalf to do that one. But here's a
That's
hint,
why you
people: if you
get a
buy
sample,
exactly, get a sample, but don't store them forever.
right, and then you can see how the drinks look and pick the way they're gonna um,
Yeah,
will turn out. So yeah.
if you
So
put cold water in a glass that turns yellow, I'm going to tell you, folks, it looks like a glass of urine. So
that's right.
don't go that route. The other little fun fact about those is don't store them too long, because they lose their effectiveness over time. So again, your cost per impression will go up considerably if there aren't many impressions and nobody's using it. Um, what are some other fun things that people are buying? We talked about the mugs, we talked about glasses, sunglasses, pens. Do a lot of ortho practices do baseball caps or T-shirts?
They do, and T-shirts, of course, they're also. I think I wrote that down. they also have the kind of interesting impression. And I think I wrote for t-shirts, t-shirts, a $10 t-shirt, a fifth of a cent.
A fifth of a cent.
Fifth of a cent. So
So a
t-shirts are
$10
a
t-shirt.
lot of practices do t-shirts. They also do they do bags.
So I'm just trying to do the math here. A fifth of a cent would be 500 impressions per dollar, right? And it's $5,000 for a $10 shirt. So you're getting 5,000 impressions with a t-shirt.
People just love their t-shirts. And
remember, people, impression means you go to the mall wearing a Krieger Orthodontics t-shirt and 1,000 people see that shirt. Every one of them is considered an impression. So it's not necessarily, I would argue that impressions are not equal, right? Because I'm going to wear that t-shirt maybe 100 times in its lifetime, right? It's going to break down. It's going to be thrown away. Yeah, exactly. But if I wear it 100 times to the mall versus, let's call it a mug at work, it's different, right? Because one is engaged in conversation with people near you, right? Oh, that's cool. What's up? Oh, Krieger. Oh, yeah, I know him. As opposed to you're walking past somebody in the mall, they barely recognize your shirt. But the point is taken that a t-shirt is seen by a lot of people, and for $10, you could be getting some exceptional impressions.
And usually t-shirts don't cost $10. They cost less. They usually.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They cost,
unless you go
crazy nice.
It's less expensive to put 3 colors on one side than to put 2 colors on one side and 1 color on the other side. So this is the kind of things you got to think about when designing a t-shirt. So
yeah. I would also suggest to people that here in Texas, there's a company called Tyler's. You may have seen their stuff. Very distinctive logo that says Tyler's in a very distinctive font. Every 14-year-old kid in Texas has a Tyler's shirt. They have a store. And so ortho practices, myself included, have created Kriegers, right? Which looks just like a Tyler. So I would tell you, look around your neighborhood or your community for a company that has a very unique, there's a superfluous term, a unique branding that maybe you could copy and make your own, right? So if it's a specific font that looks a specific way, well, maybe you put your name in that font and everybody will recognize. Like the Tyler shirts have a pocket on the front and they're a plain cotton t-shirt that says Tyler's in Texas on the back and it has it on the front pocket on the t-shirt. Well, it's very simple to emulate that and make that Krieger's or Shaw or Pulitzer or whoever you want to be. What do you have near you, if you're listening, that maybe you can do the same for and give out on special occasions like a bonding or a debond or a party or something like that, right? And also, Randy, I want you to talk about the word kitting.
Right. Well, before that, I just want to back up and say, as far as art services go, there's an artist that we keep on staff that if you see a font that you like, but you really can't copy it exactly, you can have an artist create something that looks very close to it. And, same thing with a logo. If your logo's not in a good format, which is called vector format, usually Adobe Illustrator or EPS, which is encapsulated PostScript, it can be converted very inexpensively. A lot of times you'll pay a lot of money to have a logo designed, but you not necessarily don't have to do that all the time. You can hand draw it out and can turn it out for something nice. Anyway, as far as kitting goes, if you want to make an impression sometimes for a special event or you want to have a theme, kitting is the newest, I would say one of the newest things I would call in the game. And the sense that you want to have a theme, you put it in a nice box, you have the box designed. I actually have one. I don't know if you want to actually see it, but what Kaiser and Blair did was they decided that we're going to have.
Show it.
They have a box.
Show it while you talk about it. Yeah. And if you're listening to this, just go to YouTube and watch this episode of the podcast. You can see what he's showing.
And transform. And then inside the box, they decided to do not only that, but I don't know if it's hard to see, but
I can see it.
Basically says is be uniquely you, stand out, shine, be colorful. The world needs you, your prismatic soul. And then it's by Amy Lee McCree. And anyway, inside the kit, they wanted to show the capabilities of some of the different partners we have. So everything from this is called an everyday belt bag, and you can see the beautiful 4-color. I think it may be backwards just because of the mirror image.
What's it supposed to say?
It says unique, just to show everything was unique.
It says unique. It's going. It says perfectly.
And then also there was just to show the capabilities of a hat, be colorful, and the different threads on a cap.
But what's different about this than me just giving them a hat or a bag?
Well, there was a theme that Kaiser put together to show that the capabilities of the different companies of how much color you can add to almost any different product. And
so everything in the box, including the box itself, is showing the same concept, which is look at all this color.
Look at all the color.
So in an orthodontic office, how would I do this? Because you said it's all the rage right now.
Right.
Would I create a box like that for my patients?
You can have a new patient box and think about what kind of message that you want to come across. You could put some items that are useful for both the practice and what patients should use, and also items that'll also have a theme that'll go together, maybe something to remind them about as far as your practice and as far as your overall theme of, maybe it's the summertime, maybe it's things you want them to do, maybe it's, don't get exposed to the sun, so you're going to give them a kit of be uniquely you, like this is, with a inside they put insect repellent spray, insect bite relief, after sun spray, hand sanitizer, and sunscreen spray. And
all of that, all of what you just showed me in and of itself is one kit.
Correct. That's just in one item.
And all 6 of them come in the same style. They're all in pen-like.
And they each have different colors.
So just thinking out loud here, Randy, sorry for stepping on you there. My thought is, like, for instance, if I wanted to say, hey, by the way, here's your box thank you so much for getting started with your smile. And by the way, our theme of this box is share your smile, right? And then inside that, the box is designed a certain way. It looks beautiful. And in the box are things to help them show their smile. Whatever that may be, right? It could be toothbrush, toothpaste, but it could be something less dental related and much more, related to their smile. Lip balm, right? A customized lip balm to put around your lips. It could be a whitening pen to help them whiten their teeth. It could be a whole series of things or it could be, hey, show the real you, right? Now that we're changing your smile, here's a hat, here's a pair of glasses, whatever it may be, right? But the key is bundle items together that send a message together and brand it as one, as opposed to giving them a hat and separately a month later giving them lip balm, and bring it all together into one cohesive message. That's called kittling.
Kittling. Sounds like kittling. Anyway,
it does.
Just wanted to show you something new and interesting. So there was a large mug you can see this green. It says Inspire. It didn't have different colors. It's a 40 ounce. But also what came in here was a
200 ounce.
40 ounce.
Weighs 17 pounds.
There's a Eco-Freak beverage insulator, so you can actually add your telephone or other things on it. So, and actually it goes around the mug itself, and then it's sort of like a carrier of other items. Put your keys, put your phone. So something else new that just came out.
Got it. And you can see if you have a 40 ounce Stanley or equivalent, this insulator goes around the thermos or the mug. Correct. Holds your phone, holds keys. So if you're going to, say, a picnic or a beach or something like that, you have everything inside that one item. Or if you're going to work out and you're in an outfit that doesn't have pockets. Right. I love it. Now, so Randy, we're basically out of time at this point. Was there anything you wanted to add? Anything we haven't covered?
Oh, there's a lot.
I know there's a lot.
But I don't have time.
But, if anybody's going to Summit, anybody who's going to Summit and is registered at opsummit2024.com, they will see you on that ship, and they will have the opportunity to sit and chat with you, and they can place orders if they want to. I have no financial interest in your company whatsoever. The only thing I can tell people is that, joking aside, anybody who ever starts with Randy never leaves. His customer service, his prices, his quality, his honesty are truly beyond anybody else I've ever worked with. You will never, ever regret working with this man. And again, if you come to Summit at Sea, Randy will be there, and he's very giving with his time. Just like his dad, Randy's never met a stranger. And so he'll be happy to sit and talk to you about your swag in your office and help you design what's best for you. How does that sound, Randy?
And of course, there'll be some things strategically placed around the ship that will be freebies for you to take. So
yeah, that'll be amazing. I can't wait. Now, Randy, the most important question today, if someone wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to reach you?
www.swaghq1.com or
swaghq1.com
or 972-656-8111, or the easy email is randy@swaghq1.com.
RANDY@swaghq1.com.
That's it.
Yeah. Right on. Randy, I can't thank you enough for all the great stuff you've done to help Orthopreneurs and myself personally along the way. I know I'll be going to a bar mitzvah very shortly where you designed the socks. He's very, very proud of this. No, don't give it now. Don't give it now. He'll get upset. Let me see the socks. Come on, hold them up, Randy. Oh, I'm gonna make him while he's leaving. Let's leave him while he's going. No, I'm kidding. So there you go. Beautiful. I can hardly see them, but they look great. But my point here is Randy designed these for somebody. Got his graphic designer set up on Vector Artwork. And so I hope you all get the opportunity to work with this man and enjoy his work as much as I have. And I'm just lucky to be working with you and to call you a friend, Randy. So thank you for your time today from the bottom of my heart.
I can't thank you enough, Glenn, for being such a good friend and a good business partner.
No partner here. All I do is I make sure that, they once asked Gene Kelly, one of the greatest dancers of the 20th century, what made him such an amazing dancer? And his answer was, I just make my partner look good and it reflects back on me. And that's the name of the game. Make those you dance with look good, folks, and you'll never look bad. So
you make me look really good. Thank you so much for everything.
My pleasure, Randy. Have a wonderful day, okay, my friend?